What do you get when you mix UFC, Florida Man energy, Jake Gyllenhaal on steroids, and Conor McGregor acting like he just snorted a Red Bull through his soul? You get Roadhouse, a movie where bars are more dangerous than war zones, and nobody wears a shirt unless it's already ripped. A film where Jake Gyllenhaal plays a former UFC fighter turned bouncer turned philosophical punching machine, and Conor McGregor basically plays himself, but if he were even more unhinged. Somehow, before we dive into madness, do yourself a favor, hit that subscribe button, slap the notification bell like it owes you money, and officially join the Recap Scope family. We've got action, chaos, breakdowns, and enough movie mayhem to fill a truck stop brawl. Alright, let's get into the recap. We open with Jake Gyllenhaal, who apparently traded his Oscar dreams for an octagon. He plays Dalton Elwood, a former UFC fighter turned brooding drifter with abs sharp enough to cut glass. Dalton wakes up in his rusted-out van, parked beside a rundown motel. He counts the crumpled bills in his pocket. Enough for gas, maybe a sandwich. Not enough to escape the ghosts in his head. We see flashbacks, him in the ring, roaring crowds, his hand raised. And in the moment, it all fell apart. A disqualification, a scandal, an opponent bleeding on the mat with a toothbrush lodged in his ear. Don't ask. So, he does what any ex-fighter with nothing to lose does. He heads to the local underground fight club, a place where rules are optional and dental insurance is a fantasy. It's set up in an abandoned bowling alley. Half the neon still flickers, and there's a cage in the middle where dreams, and occasionally limbs, go to die. Dalton signs up under a fake name, Elbow Jack, because subtlety isn't the goal here. He stretches, shadows coil around him, other fighters glare. Then comes the moment. His opponent, a roided-out mountain of muscle named Big Teddy, is announced. But here's the twist. Big Teddy takes one look at Dalton, at his calm stare, at the surgical way he wraps his wrists, and nopes out harder than a vegan at a barbecue. He shakes his head, steps back. Nah, mun, I ain't fighting him. That's Dalton. I like my nose where it is. The crowd boos. The bookies curse. The organizer threatens to feed Teddy to the ferrets behind the snack bar. But Dalton? He just shrugs, grabs a stale pretzel from the snack table, and walks away like it's just another Tuesday. He didn't even have to throw a punch. His reputation did the punching for him. Outside, some dude tries to rob him. Like literally, tries to mug Jake Gyllenhaal fresh out of fight ring. Bull move. And guess what? Dalton drops him in one hit. Not because he wants to, but because muscle memory. It's like sneezing, but violent. But then, fate calls. Or rather, bar owner Frankie does. Frankie finds Dalton and offers him a job at her bar in Glass Key, Florida, a place that's 90% crime, 10% alligators, and 0% peace. She's like, hey, want to manage the most violent bar in Florida? And Dalton's like, yeah, sound therapeutic. Enter the Roadhouse, a bar so rowdy it should legally count as an MMA arena. It's got a band playing like they're in denial, patrons mid-fight while ordering tequila, and a bouncer staff that's about as effective as wet tissue. Dalton walks in wearing a hoodie and deadpan attitude, and within 10 seconds, someone tries to stab him. His response? Calmly disable 3 guys without breaking a sweat. The room stops like they collectively realized, we messed up. Dalton takes the job and immediately starts enforcing rules like he's trying to bring law to the Wild West. He fires the corrupt staff, trains the good ones, and gives the place actual structure. There's a full comedic montage of him teaching bouncers how to bounce, complete with dodgeballs, spilled drinks, and someone getting knocked out by a pool cue. The piece is bad for business, at least for local villain Ben Brandt. He's a corrupt developer who wants the land, and he's not here to negotiate. He sends thugs, burns down shops, and threatens locals like it's his full-time job. And when hired goons fail, Ben Brandt does what any self-respecting villain does. He upgrades to chaos mode and brings in Knox. Part mercenary, part Tasmanian devil, and full-time maniac. Inserted scene, the sleaze meeting. Brandt shows up in a pastel suit, oozing evil real estate energy, and sits across from Dalton like it's a job interview in hell. He offers Dalton a suitcase of cash and a warning smile. Dalton just squints and says, I've been punched harder than that offer. Meeting ends with tension so thick you could suplex it. Ellie, the town's doctor, enters next. She patches up Dalton, so often she might as well install a revolving door at the clinic. She's sharp, guarded, and definitely not buying Dalton's brooding charm. At first. But trauma is the love language of this movie. Meanwhile, there's a hilarious side plot at the clinic. Ellie's dad, a grumpy old doctor, keeps side-eyeing Dalton like he's the final boss of a dating sim. One scene goes like, "Dad, he's not a criminal. He walked in bleeding from 4 holes and smiling." That's a red flag, Ellie. Inserted scene, weird yoga flashback. We get a brief flashback to Knox doing yoga on a burning, while drinking whiskey and reciting Nietzsche. No context, just chaos. That's Knox. The town starts to shift. Locals get braver. The bar becomes a community again. But just when you think Dalton might actually get a break, boom. Boat horn. Enter Knox. Conor McGregor arrives on a speedboat like a Greek god of chaos. Shirtless, manic, and speaking in chaotic wisdom. He doesn't just enter scenes, he invades them. First stop, beat up a biker gang. Next, rip a door off a Jeep. Then, punch a palm tree just to assert dominance. Knox is a full-on agent of mayhem. The dude dropkicks a security guard for looking at him funny. He throws Dalton through glass, starts a fire in a bookstore, and karate chops a guy into a swamp. He's the villain you get when you ask, what if the Joker did CrossFit? Dalton and Knox have their first fight in the bar. It's a brutal, no-holds-bar brawl. Chairs are shattered. Glass explodes. Someone gets powerbombed into a table while the jukebox plays like it's cheering. At one point, Knox throws Dalton through the front window, and the bouncer crew responds like, yeah, that tracks. They fight like two philosophies clashing. One all rage and chaos, the other stoic and strategic. Dalton uses his UFC skills to survive, while Knox fights like a drunken Viking on pre-workout. Dalton and Ellie finally connect. He opens up about his past, the fights, the loss, the PTSD. She listens. Then she kisses him like she's trying to make him forget all of it in one go. Their relationship develops slowly, like Wi-Fi at your grandma's house. But hey, nothing brings two people together like patching up stab wounds together. There's also a flashback where we see Dalton in the UFC, destroying a guy so badly he wakes up speaking Latin. The ref tried to stop the fight, but Dalton accidentally knocked him out too. Legendary. Brandt turns the pressure up. He tries to have Dalton killed. He threatens Frankie. He even throws money at the sheriff to look the other way. But the town starts to resist. The people who once watched in fear now start to fight back. And then comes the final showdown. Dalton walks onto the beach at dawn like he's starring in a cologne commercial. Knox meets him there, shirtless, naturally, and they throw down in what might be the most intense beachfront fist fight since Baywatch went rogue. Fists fly. Sand explodes. One of them gets suplexed into a rowboat. It's epic. It's raw. It's sweaty. Dalton blocks a punch with his face. Knox gets suplexed into a jet ski. A crab runs for its life. Seagulls watch from above like it's WWE for birds. Dalton wins, barely. But he doesn't kill Knox. Because deep down, he's still a man trying to be better than his past. Inserted scene, Knox exit. Knox doesn't go to jail. He limps off into the water like a mythical creature returning to the ocean. The cops don't chase him. They just let him go. Nobody wants that rematch. Brandt tries to flee. But the town? They've had enough. Frankie, Ellie, even the bartender with one eye and a limp, they all show up to stop him. Justice is served. Violently. In the aftermath, Dalton disappears. No oublié. Just a note for Ellie. It says thanks. He drives off into the sunrise with a busted car and a bruised soul. Off to the next fight, or maybe just a nap. He's done his job. The bar is safe. The town is free. And somewhere, a new bar is probably already descending into chaos. He drives with the windows down, wind in his soul, probably listening to Bon Jovi, probably crying, or maybe just thinking about tacos. We'll never know. So yeah, Roadhouse is a movie that asks the big questions like, what if therapy was just fighting strangers? Can love blossom in a trauma ward? And how many shirts can Jake Gyllenhaal destroy in one runtime? It's dumb, it's loud, it's beautiful, and it punches like a freight train. If you survived this recap and didn't spill your drink, smash that like button harder than Connor smashes a bar stool. Drop a comment telling me which fight scene made you say bro what, and subscribe to Recap Scope for part 2. because rumor has it Jake and Connor might fight a hurricane next. Don't forget to hit the bell, or Knox will hit you. Just kidding. Probably. See you in the next recap, Legend.